Hello, I'm back with another video. Thank you for joining me on July 1st. Happy Canada Day if you're Canadian, and happy just Tuesday if you're not. But I'm so excited today. I want to talk about lucid dreaming because my dream life is a huge part of my life. I don't know about you, but I, especially this year, have really started to dive deep into how I control how my consciousness experiences things in the dream state. So when I'm not here, when I'm not in this state of reality or whatever, what am I experiencing in the dream state? And I've actually been able to have some control over the dream state and remember a lot of the things that show up in my dreams. And also, your dreams are often bringing up a lot of your unconscious, your subconscious desires, things like that. And a lot of the times it's essentially playing out a scenario that is very much like in the real world. If you are into Jungian psychology, by Carl Jung, he always talks about how our world, the outside world, is just a projection of your inner world. So your deepest fears, your insecurities, your motivations, whatever it might be. So I think of the dream world as the same thing, but obviously it's more exciting for us because we're not aware that the dream world is just as real as the real world, which is kind of crazy to think about. But when you learn how to lucid dream, it's kind of like you get to live in two different realities, two different realms, and it's so cool. So I wanted to talk about, first of all, I guess, what is lucid dreaming, which is the way that I describe lucid dreaming is so often just in general, when we talk about dreaming, it's when obviously we go to sleep. Typically, dreaming occurs in the REM stage of sleep, which is kind of like the deepest stage of sleep, where you're extremely relaxed, and it's called the rapid eye movement stage of sleep. You're extremely relaxed, and essentially you start to dream. Your consciousness goes off, has all these different dreams, adventures, puts together all these scenarios, whatever. Sometimes you remember them, sometimes you don't. Now, if you're looking at it in a more spiritual point of view, it's kind of like your dream is your consciousness kind of going to an alternate realm, to an alternate state, and then experiencing an alternate reality. So lucid dreaming, more specifically, is having some kind of control over the dream or becoming aware that you're in a dream so that you can start to control some of the things that are happening. You'll know that, okay, I'm dreaming right now. So if you're, for example, having a really scary dream and you're about to fall off a building or something, you know in your mind, okay, this isn't real. So then you can control it and save yourself in the dream, or you just don't feel that fear because you know that it's not real, right? So I had a really powerful lucid dreaming experience a few months ago where I was so this is when I really was starting with my reality experiments and manifestation and all of that, and lucid dreaming as well. So I was on this bus, and this was basically recreating a bus ride I had taken in BC. And I remember this bus ride was really scary because it was in the winter, there was ice everywhere, it was pitch black outside, and we were in the mountains. And just over the edge of the mountain, the highway was just the abyss. So I was in my mind at that time really scared that what if something happens, there's an accident. And then I found out afterwards that a bunch of accidents would happen with in that area, and I was thank God I didn't know that beforehand. But I still was nervous, and so that was a dream I had. I basically recreated that situation. But I remember I became conscious in that dream that, okay, this is a dream. And so I started to gain control over that body in the dream, and I essentially just relaxed. I remember taking a really deep breath and relaxing. and the bus went off the edge, because it's like that was what was going to happen and what I was afraid would happen. And it went off the edge of the mountain, but instead of just like falling and me dying, it essentially went off the edge, and then the rest of the world became like, it's like kind of like I was constructing the world from that point on, and it just became this like these green hills, and it was like a golf course, and it was flat, and the bus just like kind of kept going, like rolling along this golf course. But it's like I saved myself in the dream. So I remember having that experience and thinking like, this is so freaking cool. Like, I really thought that was so cool. I've never had like such a vivid experience, and like it felt like I was in a video game. It was really cool. But yeah, so that's how I would describe lucid dreaming. And now like every night, ever since that moment as well, like every single night that I go to sleep, it's a very intense experience, because most of the time I do dream, I have dreams, but not only do I have dreams, I remember them pretty much all the time now, and I am able to get into that lucid dream state where I kind of know it's a dream, or like I'll be able to like have control and just like feel like it's another reality I'm playing out type of thing. But obviously with the dream state, it's like, because I'm in this timeline now, dreams feel like they're not real, I think, because they're not continuous, right? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, drop it in the comments if you understand what I'm trying to say here, but it's like, we think dreams, what we do in dreams isn't real because it's not continuous, but actually the only difference between like the dream state and like this reality I'm in right now is that my consciousness in this reality is like experiencing it as linear. Like, it's experiencing time as linear, especially, and like that's how the world conditions you to believe, like that that it's linear. And so you think that this is the only thing that exists, but actually your consciousness exists in all different realms, like simultaneously, right? So it's so cool, and it's cool to tap into these alternate realities. And, you know, there's also like, because I remember seeing somewhere, I think it was a Rumi quote. I believe it was a Rumi or an Osho quote, and it was something like, I don't remember how it goes, but it was essentially saying that when you dream, you actually just go to an alternate reality. You just go to a different world. And yeah, that's like what it is. And also when you die, what does that even mean? Like, if you've ever had an ego death, like a full ego dissolution, you'll never be afraid of death, because you realize that the truth, and you see that it's very trippy. But anyways, not to go into that conversation, that's going to be a different video. But yeah, so that's kind of like how I would describe lucid dreaming. And also with lucid dreaming, I have been able to develop my superpowers. I sound so autistic right now, but actually, like, lucid dreaming is so cool, and I think as you awaken and you develop more spiritual gifts, you'll be able to just do things that are supernatural and that are really cool. And I think like one of them for me has been like in my dreams really working on learning how to fly. So I was able to like levitate in my dream a few weeks ago, and I remember doing this consciously. And like in the past, like when I was a kid, I would try to do this. Like I'd be in a situation where like someone's chasing me or whatever, like, you know, we always have those dreams. Someone's like chasing you, and then in the dream it's like you can't run because your legs are glued to the floor or something. But I ended up just being able to like relax and like pull myself, like essentially lift myself up and start to levitate. And so I was kind of watching the scene from above, which was so cool. And then And then actually, I think like 2 days ago, I had another one that was me kind of like on this tightrope that was really, really high up. And then there was like the ocean beneath me. And I just remember like jumping from the, like dropping from the tightrope. And as I was dropping, I knew I was dreaming. So I was kind of just enjoying the experience. But I just remember in my dream having the thought of like, I know this is a dream, but if this was real life, I would not survive this fall. Like, and I know that may sound concerning, but like, no, that's just like how deep, like the scenes that I'm able to like create and be a part of, like co-create and be a part of in my dream state now are so incredible and like out of this world. And it's just so cool to experience that. I think also when I feel really deep emotions regarding certain things going on in my life, you know, just whatever it might be, I tend to have these really intense dreams. And so I think that was a part of it. Yeah, it's kind of like that having to just manifest itself somehow. And there's like a lot of tension that builds up in your body, for example. Like I haven't like meditated in a few days and like there's been a lot going on. So I feel like that's been a part of it. So it's kind of like interesting to see how your inner world manifests itself in your outer world, because even if you try to suppress what's happening inside you, like it's going to manifest outside. Like it needs to go somewhere, it needs to happen, like, you know. So in the dream state, I think we often have that happen. And yeah, so it's honestly just a really like enlightening experience. It can really help you to better understand yourself. You know, they say that the dreams that you remember are not dreams, they're messages. I would argue that every single dream is a message, like, because every dream has significance, because anything that is created has meaning and has significance every single moment. That's how the divine works. It doesn't create just to like, you know, waste energy. Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so I think everything has meaning, and also you create like a lot of the meaning as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to have your limited interpretation of it, and that is the meaning you can attach to it. But obviously, it's just something deeper within that's trying to create itself outwards. I can't speak, but yeah. And then there was one more thing I wanted to mention as well regarding dreaming. I don't know if I can remember it, but I did also just have a friend tell me about astral projection. And please leave me a comment below if you've ever tried astral projection or if you know anything about it. But essentially, I remember my friend had told me that you can actually, so I think it needs to be practiced. I've never done it before, but that you can go to sleep, and I don't know if it's like you go to sleep or you put yourself in like not a full sleep state, but some kind of like a limbo state, I don't know, between sleep and waking. And essentially your consciousness can leave your body and kind of like watch the scene, like kind of watch you in your bed just like sleeping. And yeah, it's like you just watch, and then you can like leave the room, and you can even like go through walls and go through like windows and stuff, and you can even go and like go into other people's apartments. Like, it's honestly like not everybody should know about this because there's gonna be some creeps out there, but yeah, but and then I think he said something like the only limit you have, I think, is that obviously you have to practice this, so you're not going to just be able to do this just like, you know, with wishful thinking. It's like you need to practice it. But also that I think he said like every 2 hours or something, there's a tidal wave, and that essentially like resets your consciousness, puts it back into your body so that you can't explore for longer than like 2 hours or something. I don't know. Anyways, this is all like what my friend told me. I don't know if it's true, but I just thought it was one of the coolest things that I've ever heard someone say. And I tell people all the time and they're like, "What? Like that's crazy." Like yeah, and I think, and also my friend did tell me that you could put like like a grid around your house, because I was like, wait, how do we protect ourselves? Because I don't want somebody to be like watching me. And he was like, yeah, you can put like a grid around your house with like, I don't know, crystals or something. I don't know. But it's crazy. It's so crazy. So astral projection is definitely something I see myself doing in this lifetime. I haven't like gone out of my way to figure out how to do it, but I'm very curious about it. And what I have been doing a lot recently, so I started doing these earlier this year, and this is when I had like my full ego death, kundalini awakening, everything, but subliminal overnight meditation. So I remember Joe Dispenza saying something. So if you don't know Joe Dispenza, he's an epigeneticist, and yeah, that's the right word. So he basically works with like the chakra system and meditation and like rewiring, reprogramming your reality. And he helps a lot of people who have like terminal illness or like chronic conditions that like they've tried everything with their doctors, but it doesn't work. So it's kind of like rewiring from the inside out. And so I did a lot of this rewiring, reprogramming earlier this year. And Joe Dispenza would say like, oh my gosh, what was I saying? Give me a second. Oh yes, okay, sorry about that. So basically subliminal meditations are best used when you wake up or when you go to sleep, because those are the times I believe that your brain waves are in alpha or theta state, if I'm not wrong. I think that's the state that's like relaxed. Let me double check because I don't want to give you the wrong information. Yes, so alpha linked to relaxation, theta deeper relaxation. Yes, exactly. So yeah, so those are the best times to use these subliminal meditations. And genuinely, like, these meditations are really good for rewiring your reality. You're gonna wake up, like, there's one I do that's like you wake up the next day and it like manifests itself, and it works. Like, you'll literally wake up the next day and whatever I feel like is most prominent within you is like you're gonna start to see that in your life. Or I guess it depends what you're doing the subliminal for. But like, I have certain things in my life that I want to like improve, or like, you know, certain things I want to manifest, and it's like using this meditation, I'll literally wake up and it's like multiple things are playing out that I'm like, okay, like perfect, this is what I need. And it's like it works by guiding you to take intuitive action when you wake up. It's amazing. I'm gonna link this one below. I honestly think I've linked it before in one of my old videos, but I highly, highly, highly recommend these meditations. If there's one thing you do, it's like make the nighttime your time to rewire your reality, and it's so helpful. I personally find it even more helpful than doing like a 25-minute meditation in the middle of the day. Those are great as well, and I think it's so important to do seated meditations as well, because like you really bring everything up, and like it helps also to be seated because that's when your spine is straight and it's like you're really grounding all that energy. But these nighttime ones are super effective, so I really recommend. I'm going to link this one below. And if you've tried any of the things I've mentioned, please let me know. I'd love to chat about this more with you in the comments. I'm sorry this video was a little bit all over the place, but I love all of these topics I've brought up and I wanted to share them. So I love you so much. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel for more weird content. And have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Happy July. I love you. Bye.